Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make this beautiful halter romper. It's an inspiration from our previous videos. So we're evolving from the simple triangular shaped halter top, and then we modified it to create more coverage, and then we were able to modify it even further to create a halter dress, and now we are onto the halter romper. So if you haven't yet checked out these tutorials and patterns, they are already available on my YouTube channel, as well as the patterns on all my online shops. I'll be leaving the links behind for you guys to follow up on the previous designs. But today we are focusing on this cute romper. It's a Playsuit. It is a back lace up, perfect for summer, perfect for the beach. And the most amazing thing about it is that it is made to measure. So you can make this to any size of your choice. And yeah, I think the shaping is just perfect. The back design is just perfect. And yeah, let's jump right into the materials. And if you would like the written pattern for this one, it's also already available on all my online shops. So let's jump into the materials. You will need yarn. The yarn that I'm using is Winter King. It's a 4-ply acrylic yarn, and it's a size 3 yarn. Then I'll also need a 3.5mm crochet hook, a darning needle, and a pair of scissors. For this design, you will need your bust measurement, the measurement from your collarbone all the way to the navel, which is your waistline, and then your hip circumference, and then the length of the romper that you need. So from your collarbone all the way to where you want your romper to stop. Those are the measurements that you'll need for this design. And let's get started. So to start on the halter top, you're going to start off with a magic ring. You're going to hold your yarn like this and then pull through the working yarn, just like that. And then you're going to make a chain of 1. This is going to tighten and close off the magic ring. So you're going to make a chain of 2, which will count as our very first double crochet, and then place 4 more double crochets into the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And since the chain of 2 counted as a double crochet, we now have a total of 5 double crochets. And then you're going to make a chain of 2 and place 5 more double crochets into the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So after your 5 double crochets, you're going to close off the magic ring just like this. You're going to pull on the tail and close that magic ring. So you're going to have something that looks like this. For this halter top, it's quite different. We're going to keep working like this in a U shape, as if. So we're going on to our next row. We're going to make a chain of 2, which counts as our very first double crochet. Turn your work. Actually, a chain of 3. From now on, we're starting off with a chain of 3, which counts as our very first double crochet. Turn your work, and into the very first stitch you're going to place a double crochet. So we've placed an increase at the beginning of the row by placing another double crochet into the first stitch. So we have 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next stitches until you get to the chain 2 space. So once you get to the chain 2 space, you're going to place 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets into the same exact chain 2 space, just like that. And then you're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next stitches until the second last stitch. So this is what you'll have. And then on top of the last chain, you're going to place 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. So just to cross check, you should be having a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 double crochets on each side of the chain 2 space. So we're going on to row 3, and we're going to repeat this you're going to make a chain of 3, turn your work, 1 double crochet into the very first stitch to make an increase at the beginning of the row, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next stitches until you get to the chain 2 space. From here, you're going to go into the chain 2 space with 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets into the chain 2 space, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next stitches until the second last stitch. And then into the very last stitch, which should be the chain 3, you're going to place an increase by placing 2 double crochets into that last stitch. So you can see we're working in a V shape, actually, not a U shape. We're keeping on growing our panel like this. You're going to repeat row 3 until you have enough coverage for your piece. I'll be recommending a number of rows that you should do for the different sizes, but this is going to entirely depend on the fitting that you're going for. So keep working row 3 and I'll be back to show you how many rows that I did for my size. And another thing that I have to point out is your work is going to keep growing and creating bust coverage. So whatever length that you consider, or whatever number of rows that you consider for your piece, this piece should be able to stretch across your bust and cover it entirely. So let me keep working and I'll be back to show you how many rows that I did for the size that I made for. Alright guys, I ended up doing a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 rows for a size medium. But for all the other sizes, I'll be recommending a number of rows, but you can keep adding or subtracting rows depending on the fitting that you're going for. So these are my 18 rows. Alright guys, once you get the number of rows that you need, make sure the base doesn't completely wrap around your waist, because we need to leave some room for the straps to tie behind the top. So I have 20 inches by 12 inches length. This is length 20 inches and the height is 12 inches roughly. So once you get your desired centimeters or inches lengthwise and height-wise, we're not going to start doing something different. We're going to start creating more coverage towards the side, but not increasing the height of the top or the base length of the top. So from here I have 18 inches, and for row 19, these are going to be the short rows. We're going to first work on one side and then we shall go to the opposite side. So you're going to make a chain of 3, which counts as our very first double crochet. Turn your work, and then into the next 2 stitches, which is this one and this one, you're going to place 2 double crochet together stitch. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. You have 3 loops left on your hook, and yarn over, pull through all the 3 loops. So we've created a decrease, but at the same time you should notice that the direction of the top is changing. We're creating a flat edge on this side from now on. So after your 2 double crochet together stitch, you're going to continue to place 1 double crochet in each and every stitch until you come towards the top or the pointed part of the halter top. So continue to just place 1 double crochet in each and every stitch. Alright, so I made 1 double crochet in each stitch until I had 2 stitches to the chain 2 space. As you can see here, we have 2 stitches to the chain 2 space at the top of the halter top. So you're going to make your 2 double crochet together stitch again. So you yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through all the 3 loops. So we've made a 2 double crochet together stitch, and then into the chain 2 space you're going to just place 1 double crochet there, and that marks the end of this row. As I had mentioned earlier on, we're going to first work one side and then we shall come to the opposite side. So what we are going to do right now is to make a chain of 3, which counts as a double crochet, and turn our work. So meaning we are working on this side first. So you can see this. So we're going to just repeat that row again and again until we create a side coverage for our top. So after your chain of 3, make 2 double crochet together stitch into the next 2 stitches. I hope you still remember how to do that. And then from here you're going to place 1 double crochet in each and every stitch until you have 3 double crochets left on your row. So keep working 1 double crochet in each and every stitch until you have 3 stitches left towards the end of the row at the base of the top. So I'll consider these short rows because they don't cut across from one side of the top to the other. These will be the short rows of the top design. Alright guys, I'm left with 3 stitches on my row, including the chain 3 on the edge. So I have the chain 3, the 2 double crochet together stitch, and another stitch here. So I have 3 stitches left, as you can see. I will make my 2 double crochet together stitch into the next 2 stitches, and then into the last stitch, which is on top of the chain 3, I will place my last double crochet on top of the chain 3. So that marks the end of row 2 of the short rows. So we're going to repeat that again and again until we create coverage towards the side. So for me, I will do a total of 4 rows, and that should be just enough for the size that I'm making for, but just work in increments of 2 rows. I'm making for a size medium, and this should be enough. So work in increments or decreases of 2 rows for each size up or down in order to get a comfortable fitting. So that means if you're working for a large, you will make a total of 4 rows of the short rows towards the side on one side. So you just start off with a chain of 3, turn your work, and you're going to make your 2 double crochet together stitch into the next 2 stitches, and then continue to place 1 double crochet in each and every stitch all the way up until you have 3 stitches left, and you'll create your decrease again by placing your 2 double crochet together stitch into the last 2 stitches, and then the very last stitch, which should be the chain 3, you will place a double crochet on top of the chain 3. So I hope that makes sense. We are just repeating the same exact thing that we did for the previous row, which is row 2 of the short rows. So keep working that. As I had mentioned earlier on, I will do a total of 4 rows, and that should be for a size medium. For a size small, you will do a total of 2 rows. That will be just enough to do the coverage for yourself. For extra small, I think the triangle is just enough for you, but if you feel like you need some side coverage, follow the same exact instructions for size small, and so on and so forth. That's how you're going to create side coverage for your halter top. So you can see the direction of the top has changed. Remember, I had told you that we are no longer increasing the base length of the top, and we are also no longer increasing the height of the top. That's why we are getting a flat edge at the top of our halter top. So we are not increasing anything. We are just increasing the side coverage of the top without necessarily increasing the height or the base length of the top. So keep working, and I'll meet you back when I'm done with my 4 rows towards the side, on one side of my top, and I'll show you what that will look like. Alright guys, after my 4 rows, this is what my work will look like at the base, and this is what it will look like at the top. We have basically increased the side coverage by 2 inches just by adding these 4 rows to the side of the top. So you will add 1 inch for size extra small because you'll have increased only 2 rows. So you'll just be adding 1 inch in increments of 1 inch depending on the size that you're adding for. So this is a size medium, and we've added 4 rows, which means we've increased by 2 inches because each 2 rows increase by 1 inch. So we're going to repeat the same exact process on the opposite side. As you can see, we've increased this side but not this side, and we want our top to be balanced. So once you get done with your last row here, whatever row that you're at, you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, leaving a tail behind to weave in. So from here, you're going to attach your yarn at the base of the opposite side. So into that very last stitch, make sure you find it, the edge stitch of your last row. Alright, so the edge stitch, make sure you find it and attach your yarn into that stitch at the base of the top on the opposite side, and then you're going to make a chain of 3, and then you're going to actually make sure you're working in the opposite direction of the previous row. So you can see this row is facing this direction, so that means I'm going to just attach my top my yarn at the top here, the top part. So just go into the chain 2 space and attach your yarn into that chain 2 space, and then you're going to make a chain of 3 and do the 2 double crochet together stitch into the next 2 stitches. So we've attached here because I wanted to be in the opposite direction of the previous row. So you can see what that is creating. We're still creating a flat edge for our top, but creating side coverage for the second side of our top. So this side has so far 22 rows, but this side is still at 18 rows. So we want to balance what we have this side onto this side, because when we fold our top like this, you can see this side is bigger than the other. You can see that when you fold it into the exact middle, you can see the side is bigger. So we want to balance our top. After your 2 double crochet together stitch, you're going to go ahead and place 1 double crochet in each and every stitch all the way down until you have a total of 3 stitches left on your row. And we're going to just repeat the same exact process that we've been working for our opposite side. Alright, so we've come to the end of the row, and we have this stitch, and the chain 3 on the edge. So we're going to create our 2 double crochet together stitch into the next 2 stitches, and then you're going to place 1 double crochet on top of the chain 3 on the edge of the previous row. So that's how to wind up our row 1. You're going to repeat the same exact process that we've been doing this side until you balance the number of rows of extension that you did on this side onto this side. So I had a total of 4 rows excess, so this is my first row, and I'm going to do 3 more in order to balance what's on this side onto this side. Alright guys, we've managed to balance what we had on this side onto this side, and now the top is well balanced. We have a total of 22 rows on this side and on this side for the size that I'm making for, which is a size medium, and this is the base of the top. You can see how we have a flat edge. So if I zoom out a little bit, you'll be able to see the whole top. This is what the top part looks like, and this is what the base looks like. So we are now going to go onto the straps. I've ended one of my sides on the top most side of the top, and I want to keep this top as simple as it can be. So from my last stitch here, I'm going to make a chain of 200. So I have my chain of 200, and after this I'm going to make a chain of 1 and cut my yarn, pull through, and you're going to repeat the same exact process on the opposite corner of the top. So cut off the excess yarn and attach your yarn in the opposite corner at the top, and attach your yarn, single crochet into the same exact corner, and then make your chain of 200 or whatever number of chains that you did on this side. Okay guys, after your 2 straps, you're going to turn your work onto the wrong side or the back side, and you're going to go ahead and weave in all your tails. Weave in your tails on the side that you consider the back side of the top, so that you have a clean finish. Alright, so you're going to turn your work onto the back side, and you're going to now lace up the back of the top. Let me first get rid of this loose end. Okay, so you're going to turn your work onto the back side and then make an X at the back, just like this. This is how we are going to lace up our top. Create an X at the back, and then pass the strap through this row here after the decrease stitch here. So our intention is to get almost at the corner of this part, and then do the same exact thing on this side. After the decrease stitch or the 2 double crochet together stitch, you're going to lace up in that space, and you're going to have something that looks like this, and then you're going to go into the base. The base row of the top, and you're going to lace it up like this. So this is what you'll have, and then at this point you can tie your straps into a knot, creating a ribbon at the back. So it's an open back design, but it is a really cute one because it creates side coverage for our top. Alright guys, you're going to take a measurement across the base of your top. You're going to lay your piece flat, and you're going to measure across, and I have a total of 23 inches when slightly stretched, and when fully stretched I go to about 24 inches. and you're going to get your hip circumference and subtract this measurement that you've got here. So the hip circumference that I'm considering for my piece is 40 inches, and I'm going to subtract the 24 inches that I've gotten at this point. So that will give me a total of 16 inches. So hip circumference minus the measurement that you've got at the base of your top. And then you're going to grab your yarn and you're going to make a chain that is the difference between the two measurements. So just turn your work to the back, just like that, and you're going to attach your yarn in one corner like this, and you're going to make the length of the result that you got after subtracting. So for me, I have a total of 16 inches after subtracting 24 minus 24 inches from the hip circumference. So I'm going to make a chain of 16 inches. And you should consider this measurement when stretching, because we don't want a big bulge in the waist area. So far I have a total of 8 inches. As you can see here, we have 8 inches. I want a total of 16 inches. Okay, get your measuring tape and make sure you have, okay, I have my 16 inches here. As you can see, when I stretch my work, I have the 16 inches that I'm looking for. So after your desired number of chains, you're going to slip stitch onto the opposite side of the top. Now we're going to start working in rounds. As you can see here, we're just going to keep working in rounds in order to create the bottom part. So you're going to make a chain of 1 and turn your work. We're going to first work across the chain that we have just created at the back of our romper. So go into each and every chain with 1 half double crochet all the way across until you get to the opposite end of the top of the top. Yes, just place 1 half double crochet in each and every chain until you get to the opposite side. So this is what you're going to have. So work until you get to this part, this point here, when the chain is finished at this point, and I'll meet you back. Alright guys, when you make it all the way across, I'm now placing a half double crochet into the very last chain, as you can see here. Now this is what you'll have. From here, you're going to go into each and every row of the top with 2 half double crochets. 2 half double crochets in each and every row, all the way across the base of the top. And this is what you're going to create. So keep doing that across until you get to the middle section, and I'll show you what to do from there. All right, so we've reached the middle section of the top, and you're just going to cross over to the second half and place 2 half double crochets in each and every row. Just like that. Don't mind this hole, it will eventually dissolve in, and it won't even look like it was there in the first place. So just continue with 2 half double crochets in each and every row all the way across until you get to the end of the row where we started this round. Alright, so we've come to the end of the round, and I've placed my last 2 half double crochets into the last row of the top. And now we are not going to create a seam line for this design. So for this round, you're going to just slip stitch into the very first half double crochet of the round and make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. And now we are going to identify the exact middle of this chain. So just fold it into 2. You see that chain? Sorry, the extension at the back. We're going to just fold it into 2 and locate the exact middle stitch. So for me, it's around here, and we're going to mark that stitch, then place your work flat like this. And then you're going to grab your yarn, and we are going to attach our yarn into that stitch that we just marked, still in the same direction as the round before. So remove the stitch marker, half double crochet into the same exact stitch and mark the very first stitch of this round, and then continue to half double crochet once into each and every stitch all the way around. And I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. So go all the way until you get to this point next to the stitch marker, and I'll show you how to wind up your round. Place 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch. Alright guys, we've come to the end of our round, and I'm placing my last half double crochet stitch into the very last stitch here. And now you're going to remove your stitch marker from the first half double crochet of the round, and since we are not going to create seam lines, we're going to just prepare for a half double crochet and place it into the top of the very first half double crochet of the previous round. Make sure it's tight enough, and then you're going to mark that point. So this is the very first half double crochet of the new round, and then you're going to just continue to place half double crochet stitches all the way around, placing only 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch all the way around. So we are working this this bottom design on the right side of the work, that we're not turning at all. We're just going to continue to half double crochet in each and every stitch, and when you come to the beginning of the round, you just place a half double crochet. Let me say you've ended here. After placing your half double crochet in this very last stitch before the one with the stitch marker, you remove the stitch marker and then place a half double crochet in the stitch that had the stitch marker, and then replace the stitch marker. That will always be the very first half double crochet of the round. So you're going to just go working around and around, and I'll let you know how many rounds that I'll do for my piece, and also recommend a number of rounds to make for the different sizes. And then yeah, I'll meet you back when I have the number of rounds that I need. But just keep working around and around in order to create your shorts that are going to be at the base of this romper. And I'll meet you back when I have my length ready. All right, so I'm almost at the end of my last round. Before I split the legs, so work until you get to your crotch. This is supposed to be my last stitch, so in this stitch I will place a slip stitch in my very last stitch. All right, you're going to make sure that you've ended your round in the exact middle of the back side of the romper. So get this part and get the exact middle stitch and follow that line, and make sure this is centered, because this is where we're going to split our legs, and you don't want the splitting to be on this side or this side. You want it to be in the exact middle. So if I zoom out, make sure your piece is centered, and that's where we're going to do the splitting of the legs. We're going to count the number of stitches that we have all the way around the very last round of our piece. All right, so I have a total of 128 stitches all the way around. You're going to divide that number by 2 and mark the opposite side, because that's going to split your panel into a pair of shorts. So from here, we're going to make a chain that splits the legs, and for the different sizes, just check on the screen. I'll be recommending a number of chains, but for me, I'm going to do a total of 18 chains. For the size medium that I'm making for, and then I will slip stitch into the stitch that I marked with my stitch marker. So just like that, I've placed a slip stitch on this side, and you can see how we have split our legs. From here, you're going to continue to work your half double crochets. Remember, for this design we weren't turning our work, so you're going to take a direction whereby you're working in the same direction as the previous round. So that's on this side. So you're going to just continue to place half double crochet stitches in each and every stitch all the way around until you get back to the chain that we just placed in the middle of the romper. So just continue to half double crochet in each and every stitch, and then I'll meet you back when I get back to the chain that we started with. All right, we've come to the chain in the middle, and we're still going to just place one half double crochet in each and every chain. So you can see this, just go into each and every chain with one half double crochet. All right, we've come to the end of the chain, and I'm placing my very last half double crochet into the last chain, and then from now on we're just going to continue to place one half double crochet in each of the next stitches. Remember, we are not creating seam lines, so what you have to do is to mark the very first stitch, just like we've been doing before. So mark the first stitch. This is just to remind you of where that round starts from. So keep working your half double crochet stitches around and around, just like we were doing for the body of this side. Just keep working around until you have a total of 3 rounds, or until you have the thickness that you want for your shorts before you start on the ruffles of the romper, because now we are working on the shorts part of the romper. So for me, I'm going to do a total of 3 rounds, and then I'll switch and start creating the romper, the ruffles of the romper. So this is round 2. I'm going to go ahead and finish it, and then work round 3 and come back when I am through with my 3 rounds. Alright, so we are through with our 3 rounds, and this is what it looks like. So we're going to start working on the ruffles at the base of the romper, and to do that, you're going to remove your stitch marker from the very first stitch of the previous round, and then place a slip stitch there where the stitch marker was. And then we're going to start working the ruffles. So what we are going to do is half double crochet 2 times into each and every stitch around. So half double crochet 2 times in the first stitch, and in each and every stitch around place your 2 half double crochets in each and every stitch. Remember, we are still working on the right side of our work. We are not turning our work at any point on this lower part of the romper, because we don't want to create a seam line. All the rounds are worked on the right side of the work. So go all the way around, placing 2 half double crochets in each and every stitch around. Alright, so we're coming to the end of the very first round of ruffles, and we are still placing 2 half double crochets in each and every stitch all the way around. So we've just placed our last 2 half double crochets in the last stitch, and this is what we have. You can see the ruffle effect starting to form. Now we're going on to the second round of ruffles, but since we are not creating a seam line, into the very first stitch you're going to place 1 half double crochet and then mark that stitch. That's our first stitch of this round. And then you're going to go into the next stitch with 2 half double crochets, and then 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into the next, then 2 half double crochets into the next, 2 half double crochets into the next, 1 half double crochet into the next. So the pattern is 2 2 1 2 2 1, 2 in the next, 2 in the next, and 1 in the next, and keep doing this all the way around. So this is going to make the ruffle more pronounced. Keep doing that all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. So we've come to the end of the second round of ruffles, and this is what the base of your romper should look like. After this, you're going to remove the stitch marker from the first stitch, and now we're going to do plain rounds. So from now on, you're going to just place 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch around. We are done with the ruffle shaping. So you mark the first stitch and continue to half double crochet once in each and every stitch all the way around. So this is the first round, and I want a total of 3 plain rounds. So this is round 1, and I'll do 2 more rounds and come back to show you what everything will look like. So you can do as many rounds as you wish at this point in order to get the length of the ruffle you need for your romper, but I'll do a total of 3, but if I need to do any more, I'll let you know. So let me go ahead and do my 3 rounds, and we shall see what we get. All right, so we're coming to the end of our round. Remember, this is the 3rd round of the plain rounds of half double crochet stitches, and this will be the end, the very last round. So from here, I'm going to go into the stitch that had the stitch marker and place a slip stitch, chain 1, and cut my yarn and pull through. So that marks the end of the very first side of the romper, and this is what our ruffle looks like. Now we're going to attach our yarn onto the opposite side and do the same exact thing, but I'm going to just show you what to do at the beginning, and then you will pick it up from there. So you're going to attach your yarn in a way that you're working in the same direction as the previous round, and keep in mind that you have to be on the right side of your work. So just attach your yarn at any spot and half double crochet in each and every stitch all the way around. So what we are doing here is the plain rounds before the ruffles. So you're going to go all the way around, placing 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch until you get back to the beginning, including these chains. Make sure when you get here, just work a half double crochet stitch all the way across until you get back to the beginning of the round, and then start following the same exact instructions. If you did a total of 3 rounds before starting the ruffle, do the same exact number of rounds on this side before starting the ruffle. So we're just mirroring the same exact process that we've gotten on this side onto this side, and then we shall meet after both legs or both sides of the romper are at the same level, or when we have a balanced look on each side of the romper. So far we have this side longer and this side hasn't yet been touched, so what we are trying to do is to balance both sides, and then I'll come back and show you what everything looks like. Alright, so we've come to the end of the round and we are placing our very last half double crochet into the last stitch, and you're going to remove your stitch marker and slip stitch into the very first half double crochet of the round. Make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. This marks the end of the second side of the shorts of the romper. Then you're going to get your darning needle and weave in all your tails. Just weave in the tails at the back of the romper or on the wrong side of the romper. And go ahead to weave in all the other tails that you may have on your romper. We are going to just lace it up just like I had explained in the top, and then when it comes to this part at the base, you can see where the strings pass. You will weave in and out of every 2 stitches until you get to the middle, somewhere around here, and then do the same on this side. Once you pass it through the base of the top, you keep moving in and out of every 2 stitches, and then you'll gather this together. And that is basically it. Let's see the final look of our romper. Alright guys, this is how we ended up with this cute little romper that I am very sure so many people will enjoy making. If you enjoyed making it with me, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought about this tutorial. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!